So this is explaining the overarching strategy for using the reflexives. Now, there are many more verb tenses in Spanish than there are in English. So of course, it's impossible to remember all of them, and you are not here to get a university certificate or something like that. We teach a method here that is practical conversational Spanish as spoken in Mexico to be used in everyday life, to converse with people, friends and neighbors, get your errands, daily errands done, etc. Now, even in English, we think in really complex ways. We use actually 6 to 8 time tenses every time we tell like the simplest story or sequence of events. That is a lot of words to remember. And that's where the timeline curve comes in. Because unless you have photographic memory, regular persons, we can't remember, like, if we learn 8 or 10 new words every week, every single week consistently, that's good. The reality is the majority of people learn 4 words, more or less on average. So that's where the timeline curve comes in. It's about a 2-year process to come from a complete beginner to being conversationally fluent in Spanish and understanding what people are saying to you, even when they speak very fast. I mean, regardless of the speed they're speaking with, you're going to understand everything they're saying. That requires controlling a big vocabulary and a lot of verbs. Now, the way we break down the verbs is during the first 6 weeks of the beginner level, we introduce you to the present time, present simple, the future time, future simple, and the present progressive. And of course, all the glue words, the connection words, the descriptions, etc. So you do walk out of those 6 weeks with a big vocabulary. And it's up to you to practice this and not to forget and, put printouts on your walls and use posties and speak Spanish at least an hour every week to somebody, or come to conversation classes if you live someplace you have nobody to talk with. But the point is you have to work and practice what you learn, otherwise you forget it. Now, the next phase of 6 weeks is it's to get from beginners to intermediate level. In the intermediate level, we'll learn how to use reflexives. And certain things in Spanish can only be said with this, specifically interactions. When we're talking to people and we're saying things like, I'll call you, or wait for me, or I'll wait for you, or remind me, or let me know, or here, let me give you, or can you give me, or they gave us, or I'll give them. All those interactions require the use of reflexives. Now you're dealing with about 9 different moving parts. So the first thing we do in the first 3 weeks, we assemble, like we just put all the pieces on the table and we show you here. Look at this. These are 9 moving different parts. They're all specific. They're all unique. They have their own purpose and use. Now, first of all, your job is to recognize them. We're going to introduce them to you, and then your job is to distinguish between those 9 different elements. Now, weeks 3 to 6 is where we put them all together and you start using them. As with everything in Spanish, there's 2 ways to say anything. So I'll teach you those 2 ways, and you will always be aware in the back of your mind that there is more than one way to say something. And if you nearly sure you understand what the person in front of you is saying, even though he doesn't say it the way you're used to saying it, you still can accurately gamble that you are understanding what he's saying based on certain parameters. So we'll teach you how to eliminate things based on how they sound and what you recognize, instead of doing this conscious processing, translation process in your head. Because when you're trying in your head to translate word by word by word, by the time you've translated word number 3, that person is already on word number 10. And that's how we all fall behind. And that's why people complain, oh, all the locals speak so fast, they can't understand everything. It's one big train, it's all mixed together, it's one long sentence. Well, it's not. We're going to teach you how to recognize this. Now, how to recognize it and be successful and just like jump over that and decode it. And once you get it, you get it. That takes time. It really does. It takes between 12 to 18 weeks. And it's up to you to put in the work to get there. I can show you what you're looking for and I can teach you and give you the tools. Ultimately, it's up to you to use your toolkit. And that's when we have video recordings and then cheat sheets and all this other stuff, the helpful stuff that you download to your phone, because those are helpful tools. they don't replace the work, they will help you not forget and keep a grip on everything. So there's a lot of vocabulary, a lot of things you want to remember, a lot of things like where you want your training to kick in. Ultimately, the way we think, it's like almost the speed of light. You think something, you say it, like it's instantaneous between the thought in your head and the sentence coming out of your mouth. And that's what happens to you in your native English or language. Now, when you want to move and to a new language, you want your response time to be as short as possible and as close as possible to your native language. Because otherwise we'll feel like we're 4-year-olds and it takes us forever to form a simple sentence. And we don't like that feeling. So that's why we put in the time and the money and the lessons into learning and expressing ourselves like adults in the new language as fast as possible. So really the intermediate phase is not for everybody. It requires a lot of work of you. The good news is once you pass that, if you have actually put in the work consistently for the first 18 weeks, you are nearly in the clear. There's only the advanced stage, which becomes progressively easier with the different time tenses and all this other stuff, the perfect. The big majority of the hard work definitely comes in the first 18 weeks or so. It's 18 weeks, assuming you take Spanish 2 or 3 times a week. If you do less or more, that time frame can be shortened, but really it is the benchmark. In about 18 weeks, you can expect good results. So let me know in the comments what you think. This is a realistic assessment. I'm not telling you any magic pills, magic wands, magic solutions. If I had magic, I would be richer than Jeff Bezos at this point, because everybody wants a magic solution. I would have been like speaking Japanese and 17 other languages, and so would you. There's no magic pill. You are the magic pill. You're the one that's sitting and doing the work. Okay, I can show you what to do, give you a roadmap, step-by-step formula, take your hand and walk you there. You're ultimately at your legs doing the walking. So it's definitely doable. And I wanted to give you a realistic picture of what you're entering to. And of course, when you live in Mexico, when you have somebody to speak with, it definitely accelerates things. Some of my students live in places or countries where they really don't have anybody to speak with Spanish, or their schedule is so busy they don't really have the time. So they have to add on an additional conversation class every week. So the goal is they come every single week and they speak Spanish for a solid hour a week and they listen to Spanish. Okay, so it's about 30 minutes speaking, 30 minutes listening, 40 minutes speaking, 20 minutes listening, 20 minutes speaking, 40 minutes listening. When you do it consistently, week by week by week, over time, this is like accumulates. You can build on it. It's solid. So there's a lot of work you're looking at. You don't want to have to invest the energy. So let me know if you're ready for that. Have a great day.